So, we are back.
We're back. Are we back for sure?
We are back for sure.
Oh,
where would you like to start out on this topic?
Okay, so I came at this from a pollution perspective because I understand ramifications on health. Because everybody's concerned about their health these days.
Right.
So I came across an article from the Environmental Health Project, and I'm going to give you guys a copy of this so that you can look through all the references, put up whatever you want. It started because of a noise pollution video that came across my Facebook feed, and it was a Newsmax video, and the lady's name was Kristen Megan. She was a geoengineering whistleblower, and I'm going to quote her from here on out.
Okay.
Tonal noise is noise you don't necessarily hear. It has a biological impact. Livestock, elevated cortisol levels, which impede milk production, fertility, mating cycles in cows and livestock. Horses will engage in self-harm. For humans, pregnant females can cause elevated maternal fetal heart rate, which can cause early birth and low birth weights. How it affects children has an impact on their cognitive abilities to concentrate and have proper reading comprehension. For the elderly and chronically ill who might have implanted devices like pacemakers. Tonal noise is something that happens from EMF and ELF, which is extremely low frequencies. These data centers produce it 24/7. It is highly hazardous, and just so you know, this is a direct quote from her, tonal noise was used as a military torture technique. Okay, so it has an impact on the body. So I thought that was kind of out there, so I researched it. It's true.
Yeah.
So data centers cause noise pollution because you have the heavy construction in that area. And then once they're up and running, diesel generators plus heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems create a constant hum that can be audible to neighboring residents and wildlife. Data centers. Now remember, we're talking about a hyperscale center. So these are just data centers. Internal noise levels may exceed 90 decibels. Noise levels above 85 are harmful to hearing. Community exposure. Residents near data centers report constant humming, headaches, vertigo, nausea, sleep disturbances, ear pain, hypertension. Low frequency sounds are particularly difficult to measure and mitigate. There was a article, and what is surprising to me is it's not just environmental groups that are sounding the alarm. It is not just health groups that are sounding the alarm. It is also tech experts that are sounding the alarm. And they talk, and it says banks of generators releasing as much as 105 decibels are switched on to keep power flowing. One study published in the U.S. Library of Medicine tested the effects of infrasound above 100 decibels on human tissue. The experiment concluded that infrasound can affect cardiac function in as little as 1 hour of exposure. Infrasound has also been referenced as a potential cause of the so-called Havana syndrome.
That was an interesting story on that.
Yes,
one.
and so I looked into that syndrome. Now, from what I can find, what I personally have found thus far is that's not really a provable thing, which points me or makes me want to say we haven't studied the effects of this enough, or we haven't had enough time to even just take the what do they call them? The mid-level, the high-level data centers. We haven't even had time to study because there were, I watched quite a few videos with the noise in the community and stuff like that, and I was just gobsmacked because, like you said, you know, it's like living, you can't turn it off. This is 24/7.
Right.
You don't get a break from it either. It's not like a plane takes off here or a plane takes off there.
And that's what I was just about to suggest. I was literally about to say that. So a typical plane, like going by an airport, is 140 decibels.
Yeah.
Correct.
Which is massive.
It is.
Correct.
But they also have breaks in between those moments where it's like one plane will go and then you have it's a break.
Yes.
You know, and then you might have another one take off, then another one. But there's at least little breaks in between that, whereas this will just stay consistent the whole time. So
so then I moved on to light pollution because I've had experience with that in another area. And so data generate light pollution. Hyperscale facilities require all-night lighting that disrupts the natural circadian rhythms of the body, including melatonin production, the hormone that regulates sleep, and sleep-wake cycles. Light pollution disturbs migration patterns and habitat development among birds, butterflies, bats, cats, and turtles, to name only a few.
And the bats are kind of a real big issue because we have those that are endangered.
Correct. So that's why
big
I personally would like to see an assessment done by U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Department of Kentucky Fish and Wildlife Services. And I want to see if it should be a concern. And if it's a concern, then what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
Long-term health impacts of light and noise pollution include hearing loss, stress, insomnia, and decreased quality of life. Its impacts on livestock. So it, again, disrupts the circadian rhythms. It alters their behavior and their navigation, especially in species that rely on natural light cues for movement or breeding. It increases stress and reduces productivity, as constant artificial light can mimic unnatural daylight lengths and confuse their biological timing. And this goes for human beings as well. So,
how big is this center? I mean, are we talking bigger than a football field? We're talking smaller than the football field? Like, because I'm just curious. Like, if the lights are on 24 hours a day, right? Walmart. Again, I'm only playing devil's advocate here.
No, fine.
Walmart is pretty big sized warehouse like structure. It's pretty much on 24 hours a day. It's got those giant facility lights that sit out front.
Correct.
They're on 24 hours a day. And I'm
so I lived in it. My mom lived in an area where they did small substations for the natural gas platforms. And a mile behind her house is the crow flies, and there was a farm sitting there. They had the lights on all night long. Probably that substation was not bigger than half a football field. And it lit up the entire night sky.
well, the reason I'm asking that is because, like, we've got what is that one place up there called? It's Flying J's. It's like the
the
they
big
have
pilot
the
station,
they have the giant
They do.
lights up there. We've got a couple of places that I can think of that come to mind that have giant facility lights like that, and I'm not sure if that's.
I think it really depends on how
Location,
much of this
maybe,
245 acres is going to be developed.
Right.
And it sounds as if they're going to develop most of it.
We don't have answers. That's
Yeah.
why I'm
So
saying
that's
to you,
big. Yeah,
we're
I get
asking
it.
the questions because
I'm just playing devil's advocate on it. I'm just trying to see what would be the impact size wise. Like if it's big enough to where it lights up the entire sky, like you're saying, that's a massive issue. But if it's comparable to, let's say, like a Flying J or Walmart or something like that, maybe it won't be so bad. But I'm just.
Well,
I don't know.
now, when we're talking about this, I am reading this. This information is completely centered around data centers.
Right.
So these are concerns being raised by data centers. We're talking about a hyperscale.
Yeah.
So livestock specific risks, reduced feed intake and weight gain, artificial light suppresses their appetite, especially if it mimics daylight, reproductive disruption. So light cues regulate estrus cycles in cattle, sheep. It also is the same thing with wildlife. Deer, turkeys, the breeding season starts based on the amount of light that hits our eye.
Right.
Increased stress markers, cortisol levels, which always affect your immune functionality and overall health.
Isn't cortisol not the fight or flight stuff that's in your body too?
It is. It comes out of your adrenal
gland.
gland.
That's what I was thinking.
But when you think about it, because if I forget to change my blinds in my bedroom and we have a full moon night, my sleep is disrupted because the moon is so bright.
Wow.
So I have to flip my blinds to keep that. Like last night, I finally remembered, and so I got a little sleep. But so here's your answer. Data center light pollution is not isolated to livestock. So for wildlife, it disrupts migration patterns of birds and insects. It alters the predator-prey relationships and pollination by drawing insects away from natural light sources. It contributes to sky glow and light trespass, which can affect nocturnal species, and even aquatic ecosystems if the light would reach the body of water. Now, I think it's 7 miles. I kind of clocked it the other day. I don't know how they're going to direct the water lines from Big Sandy. So we're talking less than 10 miles, so I have no clue. So those are some questions I have. There's other questions that would need to be asked. For example, there are several global and local standards that address light pollution for data centers. Something called a LEED certification, LEED certification, and it's a sustainability standard that rewards companies for minimizing light pollution through best practices in lighting design and energy efficiency. There are dark sky certifications, same thing. It promotes reducing the light production. So my question is TeraWulf going to be LEED certified or dark sky certified? And what are they going to do about the light trespass, as they call it? Then we move on to air pollution. You gotta
think it's a facility that large. It'd be in their best interest to actually turn off the lights at those times.
But by research standards of data centers, and it specifically said hyperscale would have to run their lights all night long.
For what purpose would that serve? Yeah, it's a weird. Yeah.
That's a question for somebody else.
Yeah, that's an interesting. We'll have to keep that one in mind because that's interesting.
So for the air pollution, it says data centers contribute significantly to air pollution through fossil fuel powered energy use, backup generators, and cooling systems. And it talks about, and they have to. What they have to do is they have to provide uninterrupted operation. So all these lights, generators, all this stuff is uninterrupted. And that's kind of where we were talking about. They'll pull from other sources because they become the priority. So we're talking about nitrogen oxides, volatile organic compounds, methane, fine particulate matter, 2.5. I don't even know what that means.
It means that it is a small enough particle. If you inhale it, it is able to get all the way down into your lung tissue.
And it must be able to do that
2.5
because...
microns.
Here it is. Here it is right here. Now, this is U.S. News and World Report. Air pollution has been linked to a range of respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, including asthma, lung irritation, increased risk of stroke, and heart disease. Long-term exposure may also contribute to neurological disorders, and I found that during the sound pollution, reproductive issues, and premature mortality. In Northern Virginia, for example, data center emissions are projected to cause 600,000 asthma symptom cases and 1,300 premature deaths by 2028, with an estimated public health burden exceeding $20 billion.
That's massive.
It is massive. So who's going to pay these health bills of the people? Because there's a thing here. So it says the fine particulate matter can travel far from the facility and affect surrounding communities. Again, what are the distances? Somebody tell me, because I haven't found it. Again, you can't compare apples to oranges. This is a hyperdated facility.
Yeah, and it's a whole new thing.
They may not produce some of these emissions. They may produce some of these emissions.
Or
we don't
maybe
know.
more of them. Yeah,
right, they may produce more. So heat and noise as a stressor. This was Biology Insights, an article from them. They produce massive, and again, they're talking data, not hyper. Data centers produce massive amounts of waste heat and noise, which are recognized health stressors. We're talking about everything from the large cooling fans to those generators. This perpetual humming sound can travel long distances and is difficult for the human brain to filter out. Chronic exposure to this noise pollution is linked to a range of indirect health issues, including sleep disruption, which impairs cognitive function, increased physiological stress, chronic stress, sleep loss, cardiovascular problems, high blood pressure, increased heart rate. While noise and heat diminish the quality of life and contribute to overall health decline, they are not classified as agents that directly cause cancer. So that I could find out nowhere on the internet where it said there were any cases linked to cancer, but everywhere I went, it said there's been no study on this. So we don't know.
Yeah.
Then they went into the hundreds of billions of gallons of water. Again, we don't know what Tariff Wolf's going to use, so that may not be the issue here. We can't say one way or another, but we need to have some answers before the permitting process takes place. Because even if we wanted to put in an ordinance or regulation regarding any of this, once the permits are issued, I don't think you can do anything about it. And that's a question for someone else other than me.
That's a big
You
one.
lose the legal ability to pursue that.
So there's all kinds of stuff through the EPA.
And they've already signed the papers, so I'm pretty sure that part's already ran its course as far as I think.
Yes. So now, from what I've heard here and there, they've already started the permitting process.
Yeah, because I mean, I think they already broke ground, so I think they're already.
So if they've started the permitting process without any community input, our local officials, whose stock answer has been "I don't know," can't even begin to discuss sound mitigation.
Right.
So it's incumbent upon us to find out what they're doing and then say to them directly, okay, these, and for every one of these concerns, there are mitigation practices. So we have to be able to ask intelligent questions about the mitigation practices, get them on record, and help the community understand, okay, this was the health concern or the pollution concern or the environmental concern. This is what we're doing to mitigate it. And this mitigation practice will cause X amount of, solution to the problem. We can't even ask those questions at this point. Nitrate levels in groundwater wells have climbed 70 parts per million or higher, well above Oregon's 7 parts per million legal limit and the U.S. federal standard of 10 parts per million. Now, with that, those elevated levels are linked to increased reports of rare cancers, miscarriages in local residents. And then we had, what was it, the Bill 89 or whatever that got voted down that removed some protections for groundwater. So now we're reading where certain things these data centers can do can cause increased levels.
Which I couldn't believe that they voted that down.
What have we done? Well, I mean, we've all seen the videos online where people are running their tap water. It's coming out brown. Even Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, I have to slow down when I say her name. She came to the floor and was showing them jars that came from her constituents of dirty water.
Yeah, the interesting thing to me was whenever they held some kind of a meeting like that, to where I guess I don't know if it was their Senate representatives or something like that, had to sit inside of a house and drink the water, and they drank some to say that it was fine, and I'm like there was nothing that looked good about drinking that water. I'm like, I can't believe they did it, but I guess,
And this particular article actually came from Rolling Stone. And they interviewed Erin Shirley Orey. But she says the pollutants emitted from these power plants can lead to respiratory, cardiovascular, cognitive decline. We have research that shows individuals living near these pollutants see an increased risk for Alzheimer's. The public health implications are huge.
Yeah.
So we already are seeing an uptick. My mom passed from Alzheimer's, and I believe me, I've done deep dives into that. It's an epidemic in this country to begin with at this point.
And it's starting to get more and more increased.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking everything from nitrates in drinking water, exposure, and regulatory agencies are supposed to set limits on this. So we need to be talking to regulatory agencies that can say, okay, based on what they're doing and the mitigation factors they employ, they are meeting the EPA standards or whatever agency. They're meeting our standards, so it's okay. Or, this is something we have to watch. This is something we have to study. This is something we have to audit on a regular basis. We don't have any of these answers.
So I'm thinking the next step should probably be to speak with the EPA first, would probably be or the power company. One of those two people would probably be the next big questions to go towards.
I mean, and then at the end of this article, it had a full page says, what can we do? And it says, check if your municipality has a data center ordinance. If not, urge officials to adopt one. Okay. And then it says identify opportunities for community participation before the proposed data center is approved. Next, reference nuisance control ordinances for limiting noise, etc.
I think there was a couple of people that suggested that at that
But
meeting.
here's the thing. This is what you do before the data center has been approved. And by all counts, these 5-10 individuals, I don't know, have spoken for the rest of this community and made life-changing decisions for the rest of this community without any community input. So this full page of what can we do, you can throw it in the trash because it's been taken out of our hands. We can't do it. There's nothing we can do. Now here's some research I've been digging through and came upon it by accident. I only got a hold of it yesterday, so I'm still digging through it. It has a YouTube video. Again, I have all the links to it. Noise assessment data center noise regulation ordinances. That's what I put into the search. And it says that most of your regularly adopted noise ordinances and regulations are not going to solve the problem of these data centers, and certainly not a hyperscale data center.
Well, they're probably based on decibels. And
but here's
That's what I
the
was
thing.
thinking.
Exactly, but they're also right, and you're also talking about continuous use, right? And the infrasound is hard to even measure.
Right.
So that the YouTube video goes down into regular remedies, because I had said to Eric Cheney, let's just build a wall like they do along these interstates and box them in and put a lid on them and make them go in a container.
Right.
Right. However, this YouTube video says that will not work against these. And so there is a solution somewhere buried in this video. It's like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes long. I don't know what it was. I haven't listened to the whole video yet. I'm working my way through it. But these are concerns I have, because even if the community, if we weren't educated, and I found this by accident. So even if you were to suggest the normal wall, it's not going to solve the problem. And so even if we could enforce having them put a wall up, it's not the best way to mitigate the situation. And so it takes so much time for the community, because the powers that be aren't looking into this stuff. So it takes time for the community, and many of us are not subject matter experts. I'm a concerned citizen. I'm not a scientist.
It's the
engineer.
Yes.
It's the finances. I think we've got more than enough people to be able to look some of this stuff up and to be able to get the word out. It's the finances to do something about it. I mean, that's
Well,
to
here's
be
the
real.
beauty of it. According to this information, the sound mitigation that would actually help us is less expensive than the millions of dollars they would put into a wall that is not effective.
So there you go.
But how many people know this? And is TerraWolf willing to
And that's what I was about to say. Are they going to be willing to fit the bill for that?
Entertain it.
Right.
Well, the thing is, that's what we all need to look into.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
need to look into this industrial parkway, which has sat vacant, parts of it, for, what did they say, 28
28
right?
years. Yeah.
So what were the requirements placed on industry that you were bringing in there? And does TerraWolf, I'm guessing their lawyers looked at it.
So from my understanding, the smelter that was there was significantly louder than what this will be. It was way more toxic chemicals were in there at that point. And the other one was something about, this is just my understanding of it, smells and some pollution that
Noxious
went in.
smells,
So apparently it's less than all of those. So that's a good thing, but it's like you're talking about like the lesser of two evils, basically.
Well, no, I have other questions, because I didn't
about
keep up on
that.
Brady. Was it a 24-hour operation? And did they have the infrasound? Or
Not,
did they
not
have the
only
other?
24 hours, but, you know,
Acre for acre, how large was the smelter operation versus a
data
This-
center going in.
sort of true.
Would a data center produce comparable levels of some of these things or not? Maybe not.
From what I understand,
not.
they said no.
No.
But that's just from what I understand. And it was,
Right.
you know, this is the part where I want to hear from you know, the people who are going to be actually in charge of like putting this out there. So like, I know there's got to be somebody from TerraWolf that would be willing to sit down and have a conversation about
There
this.
should be that PR person.
There should
that
be
she
a
was talking
PR
about.
person that can at least.
But then when you
alleviate
start
that.
digging down through this, my mind immediately went to the wildlife
Mm-hmm.
and the endangered species because
And that's what they don't want to hear. They don't want to hear that part.
I'm very close-
That's gonna be something that can get them shut down really quickly, as far as what I understand. Like, you know,
well, good. So let's talk about that part.
yeah.
Okay, so critical habitat for endangered and threatened bats in northeastern Kentucky.
Right.
They are federally listed as endangered under the Endangered Species Act, and critical habitats are closely tied to specific forested and cave systems.
Right.
So again, I personally do not know whether this is going on forested land or whether this is going on, vacant land. I have no idea. Now, I know that right beside me, I have Carter Caves, and that cave system
And that's what I was about
is
to
critical,
say.
and so is Mammoth.
But it's also Mammoth and Carter have natural acoustics. Like, I've been through them. Like, I've literally been in there. You
Right.
could be screaming your head off and nobody's going to hear a dang thing in there. It's scary how terrifying those caves are.
Right, but that is their winter hibernation. And again, some of these questions are for the bat biologists,
That's a
not
fair
me. Not
point.
me.
Yeah.
So the federal species that are listed in Kentucky are the Indiana bat, the northern long-eared bat, the gray bat, the Virginia big-eared bat. Those 4 are already on the endangered list. The tricolored bat and the little brown bat have been recently proposed for endangered listing because they use trees and sometimes the caves.
Yeah.
So some of these bats use the trees. Okay, so that was that one. Now, where was... And here's another question. If you are in Northeast Kentucky and involved in land use, development, or conservation planning, be aware that mature forests with large trees and intact caves are critical habitat for multiple endangered bats. Any project affecting these areas should undergo a formal ESA consultation to avoid violations and support recovery. So I'm asking, has anyone reached out to federal U.S. Fish and Wildlife, or even starting at Kentucky Fish and Wildlife and asking the questions?
Yeah.
If it's zoned industrial, I don't know if they're required to.
That's what I was about to say.
I don't know. Maybe.
Like I said, I'm only playing devil's advocate on all this stuff. I would assume that if it's already industrial, that all of that had already been done by the previous term. And if it hasn't, then
We don't know.
yeah. And if it hasn't, then there's probably scapegoating ways they can get around it because it wasn't done by the previous, then it
Right.
shouldn't have to be done by this one. I don't know,
I
but
don't
these
know
are
either.
all questions that I think
Because it's not just bats. We
Right.
also have endangered butterflies on the list. Well, I've got to find the...
Kentucky is home of the Viceroy, and I know that's like the big one.
Well, there's that, but then... Aggie, can you remember off the top of your head? 'Cause you probably
Not on
can.
butterflies.
The crayfish. And the big sandy.
Well, there is a big sandy crayfish. I don't know the genus and species off the top of my head. I have to look
I'm
at
looking.
it.
Hold on,
But
I got
it's-
it here somewhere.
They are
Endangered.
they are listed. They're 2 listed species. Listed means they're on the list, and they are subject to federal protection of habitat.
Okay.
So what most people don't realize about the ESA is that the purpose of the ESA was not just to protect the species. The only way to protect the species is to protect the habitat.
Okay, I found...
So that's why it is one of the most controversial environmental laws ever passed, because if in an area, if a listed species is found, plant or animal, it absolutely restricts all of the activity that can happen on or around that critical habitat,
could
even
be-
if it's a private landowner.
That could be big.
Yes, so I can speak to that. So, for example, I live in the zone where the Indiana bat is. I have a farm. I cannot cut down trees at a from certain time periods because I could affect their nesting and breeding season.
Right.
So, as a private landowner, you get caught doing what you're not supposed to be doing
Yeah.
because of these bats. You could be in a lot of
You're breaking
doo-doo.
federal law.
You're breaking federal law.
I remember there was like a big story a long time ago about a shrew, and I don't even remember what a shrew was, but I just remember it was like this big thing where they shut down a corporation because of it. So I do know that is a thing, and I have heard of them shutting down corporations before for stuff like that. So
well, and as it pertains
Well,
to
they've stopped
the
logging,
to the
they've
Big
stopped
Sandy.
mining.
that's what it was. It was a logging company, I think, is what it was.
So we have the Kentucky Creek Shell. And we have the Kentucky Creek Shell was proposed for listing as endangered by U.S. Fish and Wildlife on September 17th, 2024.
That's freshwater mussel.
With critical habitat proposed for about 544 river miles in Kentucky and Tennessee. Because of water degradation and pollution, urbanization and habitat loss. There's a bunch of stuff, and again, I'm not a biologist, so that we have expert biologists in Kentucky. So let's pick their brain. The big sandy crayfish. It is listed as threatened under the U.S. Endangered Species Act.
Well, I would imagine that at this point, the things that we have to do is take the steps towards the next step. So, like, not jumping towards the other ones, but what's the very next one? So contacting the EPA, contacting was it ESA or ES?
For the assessment.
For the
ESA?
the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service
Fish and
is going to
Wildlife
be
Service.
your
Okay, so that's the next one.
Endangered Species Act people. They have jurisdiction.
And then we have Kentucky Power.
Kentucky Power, major questions for Kentucky Power.
And then TerraWolf themselves. I think
Right.
those are the
you
big.
forgot the water sewer treatment plants.
I did. I didn't even think about those.
Because they're going to have to clean.
Who is that going to go through? I'm curious to wonder. Like, I mean,
I'm guessing
is that a specialty treatment center? We did have a treatment. You know what?
I don't, but we're about to find out.
Yeah, because that just made me curious. We did have a water treatment facility that went down for a moment there, and they kind of went a little crazy to get it fixed. So I'm curious if that was in preparation for this, or if that was just a coincidence.
The thing about basic municipal water treatment, though, is, I mean, it happens in phases. It happens in steps. And none of those steps are adequate to remove some of the chemicals that we're talking about.
Right. And those forever chemicals, you can't get them out.
No,
like, there's nothing you can
there.
do. They'll fit through every particle adjuster.
Now, here's another interesting thing, which, again, somebody that studies this on a daily basis, this is their job. They know it inside and out. If you are in the Big Sandy River area, conservation efforts focus on protecting riparian zones, reducing runoff, and maintaining clean, stable stream conditions to support crayfish populations. So my next question, being a layperson, is where does the Big Sandy go?
Wouldn't matter, because right now all of those are on hold because of the train derailments that happened not too long ago. They had a big thing where they shut down all of those protective acts because it's in everything. Those were horrible chemicals that went miles and miles into the air. So that's their protection for right now. They won't have to answer to that.
Well, I understand that part, but why would we pile on?
I agree 100%. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm just telling you that was a thing that happened around here.
Depending on where they do monitoring, too, you can tease a lot of that apart. Now, this is kind of getting into the science of it. But you can choose monitoring sites that are upstream and downstream of known events.
Yep.
And then you can start to tease apart, okay, well, here's our baseline. Here's where we started.
Yeah.
Here's where we are 6 months down the road. Has there been a change? You can do that, upstream and downstream of these events. So
the reason I'm thinking of is because the only way to enforce that would be like through fines and things like that. And if a person could just say, well, this was like this before we even got here, that kind of gets them off the hook of
that's why you got to establish a baseline. Right. And then once they're up and running, then continuous monitoring shows changes. Now, correlation does not always mean causation.
Right.
But if you know where the inputs are happening, if they're point sources, then you've got to you can structure those upstream and downstream around those point sources.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
that's something that could be done. And I
Right.
just, again, it's all resources. Where does that come from? Who fits the bill for that part as well?
exactly.
Well,
Is
and
that a
two,
taxpayer thing or is that the company?
have these things been done? Maybe they've already been done because it's been in the works for 2 years. So have these basic things being done? Like, I'm not in this field,
Right.
okay? And in a week's time, just asking questions and then feeding off of those questions and then feeding off of the answers I got and deep diving into other things, these are questions that need to be answered.
Now, on water quality, there should be there should be a regular report. It might be annual, it might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, that is done to monitor surface water quality all across the state of Kentucky, because every state's required to do that.
Yeah, I
and
think
it
so.
comes in under whatever the Kentucky Department of Environmental Protection is. I don't know what it's called here in Kentucky. And it's going to be separate from Fish and Game. It's going to be the agency that is responsible for monitoring air quality and water quality. And so what they do is they have teams of water quality monitors that literally go out and take samples, and they have to do this because of so much mine reclamation. There have been so many sites in eastern Kentucky, mine reclamation, that have to be under continuous monitoring. So there should be a full-on report of stream water quality that could provide a baseline, and has probably got 3 or 4 decades of baseline information about water quality across the state of Kentucky.
I would imagine that's definitely true. I'm curious on like I said, that was massive
Right.
amounts of like,
Right.
I mean, it was seeping everywhere.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it went everywhere. When
Yeah.
those chains derailed, it went from, then we had that massive black cloud that went above it when it derailed. We had that
Yeah.
horrible rainfall that happened right after that, which went
Right.
everywhere. These are
Right.
like the things that I think about, like, is that going to impact what they say or what they can be charged for?
It's
and
true,
things like
but if there's already a precedent, if there's already a baseline,
then it's different.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and that brings me to, just as a private citizen, what are the recommendations for us to be sure that we have a baseline for the quality of our water as it exists today?
I mean,
Like-
that's definitely 100%
like
the
who-
EPA and the different.
No. Like as
benefits
a
of it,
private
yeah.
person, say, I have no point of reference to ask, but like, who would I call in to test my water to get a baseline reading before this plant is even in construction?
Yeah.
Very
then
likely the
it's-
county health department.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Very
would take
likely
water
county health
samples
department.
to the county health department, and I would get a baseline.
But
So-
it's going to be, they're going to send it off to a state testing lab, and it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And
It's
so
gonna be
to
expensive.
protect ourselves, I have heard that you should have a baseline for what your water is now.
Right.
So because if you don't, then they can say, oh, their
Now-
water was bad.
That's
before.
what I'm
That's
saying.
not if you are not on a municipal water source.
Right,
If you like
right.
you are rurally, if you have a well,
Yeah.
if you have a spring, an aquifer, if you take water from somewhere else that's not municipal, then yes, that onus falls on you to do that.
So all the people, and again, within a 5-mile radius, within a 10-mile radius, where these little streams go off, these people that have wells, they're now expected to foot the bill for an expensive baseline analysis of their water, so that if something happens when this hyper data center comes in here, we have something to compare it to, and then potentially have recourse.
It's the only thing that would hold up in court.
I know, but again,
Yeah.
that's at the citizen's
that's
expense.
right. It's the citizen's expense. You
Nobody's
can't just
offering
walk
to help
in and
us with
say,
this.
you know, 2 months ago my water was crystal clear, now it's this.
And on this particular issue, the water issue, it's been a problem everywhere else in the country. So I'm not saying, I want to see if it makes, the leaves on my tree crumble or something else. I'm asking for something that is a known problem.
Yeah.
Same thing with everybody asking about the rate.
Electrical, right?
Rate increases. What's it going to cost to us? Are we going to be
Right.
footing the bill? People want answers because we're already struggling.
Yep. And that's where I'm saying, what's the next step? And it's got to be those 4 steps. EPA, water treatment facility, TerraWolf, and
Kentucky Power.
Kentucky Power.
Power.
That's the next steps. Wow, there's a lot to take in. That is massive.
It's a lot to take in.
So if you had to ask for one call to action, what would your call to action be, ladies? What do you want the people that are watching this right now, what do you want them to either do or think about?
Show up physically at the meetings.
Come to June 17. Bring your questions. Be prepared to ask your questions. And if you are not able to get onto the floor to ask your questions in the course of that meeting, submit those questions in writing to your local representatives, not just your
Actually,
county
you can
judge executive.
make
but
two copies. Give one to TerraWolf, and then give
right.
one to your elected
Right.
representatives, and then come on a podcast like this and ask and say,
Right.
I would like these questions answered, just like we're doing.
Yeah.
And talk to your neighbors.
Yes.
Talk to your neighbors about what the concerns are, and look for groups that have organized. Very likely, you're going to see this proceed to the protest stage.
I think it kind of sounds a little weird, but I think maybe even doing like a for the people who can't get their questions answered that night, maybe even having like an overflow session to where we could record for somebody.
I think that's a job for you, Michael.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
think
wondering
you
if
should
that's a
hold
possible
a
thing.
town hall where, and I want to stress this as well, when we're potentially this is a done deal. So going up there and losing your shit and being angry
Doesn't help
and
anything.
I understand, because believe me,
Right.
I sit there and I go like this. I get the anger and I get the fear. You have to put that in a box, and you have to ask the hard questions so that we can get answers and we can get people on record. I don't care if it's a politician. I don't care if it's an authority. I don't care if it's TerraWolf. You have to get them on record saying what their intentions are, what the plan is, where is everything scheduled to go. We didn't even touch on the extra infrastructure that's going to have to be built. There is going to have to be other high-powered tension lines. They are going to be put up whether you want them to be or not. Eminent domain, different things like that. But get the answers, because maybe it's a good answer. Maybe it's a good answer, and you will have your fears alleviated. Maybe it's an answer where, I doubt it, but maybe we bring something to somebody's attention and say, oh, okay, we've got to mitigate this somehow. Or you come up with an ordinance or something that says, okay, you can't do this because of the people.
Right.
After the meeting, the fiscal court meeting, Eric Cheney mentioned speaking to the property value assessor. And that property value assessor going back into communities where they already have had these data centers, what did it do to their property values?
Yeah,
What
that's
did
an
it do to
analysis. That's just a study to see.
Exactly. What did it do
Right.
to the real estate values? Don't.
That's a big one.
know-
That was a great question when we heard that one. I was like, oof, because that's, probably immediately the moment that plant goes in, they would probably have to do an assessment to find out how much
Right.
they would either lose or
Right.
gain from
But
that.
here's the problem. From the time the announcement was made, these people were sitting on property they potentially cannot resell.
Right.
But we won't know that. But here, just look at the community sphere, the people that live here. Would you want to move there and buy a home right next to something that is so unknown?
I mean, the problem with that is that real estate market is always going to be volatile and crazy. Right now, it's just so out of whack.
Right.
And these things are coming everywhere. So,
Exactly.
True.
so technically, would it lower it if it's going to be everywhere? And if that's the case, then maybe that's a good thing if it lowers it everywhere.
And who's to
You never
say
know.
that
I don't
once
know.
we get these
I
questions
don't know.
answered, that some sort of a group committee of elected representatives and community representatives could be formed to present a proposal to TerraWolf about how to be a good community partner.
That's
In
a
other
great
words, these
question,
are the
and
things
that's
that we
that's
would like.
exactly what I'm talking about. They should have been there.
Right.
At least for us to at least establish some of these things. So like the fact that they weren't there is the hard problem. Will they even take a meeting? Will they even take a phone call? Because Mr. Cheney did say that they would answer all questions that came before them. So that gives me hope that maybe they will. So we'll see how that goes. But that's our next steps. Be there the 17th,
6 to 8 p.m.
6 to 8 p.m. Boyd County Gymnasium.
That's what I've seen so far.
That's what I've heard too. I don't know.
Boyd County High
But-
School.
But I would also encourage everybody to go to their fiscal court meetings.
Yeah.
Mine in Carter County
Absolutely.
is 6 p.m. on Monday night.
See.
And start demanding
Mm-hmm.
answers. Did you sign an NDA? If you didn't, why haven't you, told your constituents what's going on?
Yeah.
Were you advised by a lawyer when you signed your NDA? All of these questions matter. So, and then document it, get it written down,
Mm-hmm.
Hold people's feet to the fire, because this is, I don't care how you slice it. It feels like a betrayal. It
Mm-hmm.
feels like a breach of trust.
And we're not going to mince words. It was. I mean, in as basic a way we can probably say it, it absolutely was. Now, there is a lot of people who are angry about this, and there's a lot of people that have the right to be angry at this. And there's also
people that are happy about jobs.
right. So
Construction jobs.
that's what I was going to
If you're a
say. There is a
construction worker-
part of this that is going to be happy about the fact that we're going to get some new jobs into this county, and it's going to be some good things. So, with that being said, there's going to be a split decision on who's upset and who's not.
Maybe not. Maybe not. So, what was that H? The other data center in Kentucky.
Oh, Hawesville.
Hawesville. So she just told you these contract jobs are being bidded out.
Right.
Who won the bids? Tell us who won the bids. Tell us, that green up video we were talking about.
that's a big-
The gentleman went out there and he
It's
was
a big
using
deal.
his cell phone.
Yep.
He took a picture of the trucks,
Mm-hmm.
and pardon me if I get it wrong. I think it was transformers on the truck or the flatbed, and then he scanned over to some county sheriff cars.
Yeah.
Well, me and my son looked at the company information on those trucks. Those trucks are from Chicago and Indiana, that company. Now, they could have simply been an escort. They could go back home.
Yeah.
But those trucks look to me like they could have been linemen.
Well, that's
So when you tell me you're going to benefit me with jobs and stuff, okay, don't just shine me on and give me a high level. It's going to mean jobs. I want answers.
So I kind of at one point took a slightly different tangent on some of the searching that I was doing. I did an internet search, and the query that I used was, give me examples of communities that have benefited from hyperscale data centers.
you don't even have to put hyperscale. Just put data center.
I wrote hypercenter.
Like show me
yeah,
a benefit.
hyperscale,
Just show me one benefit. One benefit.
She's got some.
and I would be happy.
She's got some info.
I used hyperscale because I feel that was the nature of the animal,
Right.
the beast that we're dealing with here. So I did that, and there were very few, but it spit back 3 examples.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
One of them is a hyperscale center that was it's basically owned and operated by Meta. It's in DeKalb, Illinois, and the information said that it had become an economic driver for the community, that there had been millions in taxes that have been given out to local public schools. They paid to build a new elementary school, and this comes from ipmnewsroom.org. So there was that example from DeKalb, Illinois. There was a second example. This one was in Finland. It's a hyperscale facility of Google's operating in Finland. And basically, they worked with that community in Finland, and they used technology that would capture the heat, because Finland is a fairly cold environment. So they would capture the heat, and then a local energy company came in and used that heat to provide heating for homes and businesses in the area. So there was a there was a way to
I'm
co-generate.
saying is something is weird there because I've never heard of that
I know.
technology before.
And that
Are
comes
we
straight from
boxing up
Google.
heat? What are we doing here?
Yeah, that comes straight from Google. I can't give you the engineering specs on it because
Right. That
you're
doesn't
not
make
my.
it- yeah,
But
I've never heard
that was an
nothing like that.
example. But here was the
interesting.
third example, and this was from Morrow County, Oregon. This is an Amazon hyperscale center, Amazon Web Services. So the overview that pops up tells you that the benefit was that they paid millions of dollars in fees and in lieu of tax payments to support local schools and health districts.
The in lieu, man, the in lieu.
But now if you drill down,
Oh.
if you go look at what happened in Morrow, Oregon, they had major tax incentives to bring Amazon there to that site. Okay. Financially, Amazon avoided $83 million in taxes to that community.
And as do they all. Any big major $1 million
Their
company
in lieu
does.
ended up being something like $14 million, which I mean is not small
That's
change
still
for
big, yeah.
a county,
Right.
but they avoided massive amounts of tax dollars. Can you imagine what $83 million would mean to this 5-county area? I mean,
And again, but that's also again, if you got to
Right.
see where that money went to anyway to
Right.
begin with in the first place. Like that's
Correct.
And what I'm sitting here hearing is we have over 3,000 data centers in the United States at this point, with more under construction.
yeah, more
yep,
to go.
more to
And
go.
she could find 3
Yeah.
that sort
Examples
of
of
had,
benefits.
Sort of had
Yeah.
Right.
a
And they're
else about Morrow
questionable at
Peaceful
best.
coexistence,
And they're
if you will.
questionable at best because I've
Correct.
never
Right.
heard of that. Too.
Now,
Right.
see, to me, I'm looking at that Oregon one going, community got ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
They lost, more than $60 million
Something
worth
like that,
of revenue.
in taxes.
So they got
Yeah, I think
taken
I was
for
it.
$60 million.
Well, there was another. The story goes on a little bit more about Morrow County. I just found it in 2024, 2 years ago, because Amazon's been there for a while. Not sure how long, but they've been there for a while. So in 2024, Morrow County tried to recall their tax breaks because they realized that they were losing so much money. So they tried to do a recall on those tax breaks that they had given Amazon, saying that they wanted to increase their in lieu of taxes and there should be more that was being given back to the company. Their attempt was to community, sorry. So they were trying to recoup more, and their attempt was unsuccessful in court. So
It's wild.
And I mean, just when you're sold that this is the wave of the future and this is coming whether and
right.
that grinded my behind. It's coming whether you want it or not. Well, dude, again, I have a study here that says they're a dud. They're an economic dud, and it'll break it down.
I mean, just
You're not finding that any examples where the community is happy they're there.
that's what I was going to say. I haven't seen any reasons for them to be there. I mean, other than like, oh, it's for ChatGPT, but which we already have already. So it's like I don't understand the logic of why
Did I
we
do the
but-
Core 42?
I think, honey, you just did.
Yep. Okay.
So you can ask him to edit it out.
I don't know what that is.
I know.
That's intriguing. I'm gonna have to look that up now, and then I'm kind of weirded out by that. But
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are too. 'Cause
Yeah, we are too.
I mean, that's the world we're living in today. I mean, we're all gonna die from something.
We
so-
need to ask a very careful question of Tara Wolf about who is going to be housed in that facility.
Yes.
And that's all I'm going to say about that. But people need to do their research and look at something called Core 42.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll leave it on that. That's a scary proposition that's coming forward.
It's a concern.
Yeah.
It's a concern.
Well, again, out of everything we've talked to today, there's also the overlying question which we have to address as a people is at what cost? What are these how much technology, how much stuff do we want, and at what cost does it come? And are we willing to pay that with our health, with the environment, with our standard of living? Because let's face it, they're getting rich. They're already rich, and they're getting richer off the backs of poor people.
And they're going to continue, unfortunately. There's so many different people that are going to get rich, and they do not care about the community around them.
But it may be that we don't get to stop this here. I don't know. I hope so. That's my personal hope. But if we can't stop it here, maybe we can. I mean, every community now is bringing light to the problems. Maybe we all start asking ourselves, is it worth it? Is ChatGPT worth it? Is it worth me giving up affordable electricity? Is it worth a jurisdiction telling me, sorry, as of May 2027, we can't renew your electricity contract, and being told you're screwed? Is it worth not having clean water to drink? Is it worth all the health issues that we haven't even studied? We don't even know if they're a valid concern or not, because nobody's studying this stuff. We are just on a mad race to build these data centers all over the place. To what end?
Yeah.
And if let's just say TeraWolf is renting this out to somebody else. Well, are the rest of these data centers doing it? Are we taking on the environmental, cost of living, all of these impacts? Are we taking them on as United States citizens when we are allowing other countries to come in and lease these data centers, or lease space in these data centers?
That's the big one for me. Are these data centers owned by U.S. entities, or are they going to be owned by outside, like, countries?
Leasing the space is where you need to be concerned, because TeraWolf is based out of Maryland, but where are they leasing their space?
Right.
I don't know the names of all these other companies. TeraWolf's the only one I know, so
And
that's the only one I can speak
that's what
to.
I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm suggesting is, like, can these data centers be turned into weapons?
Yes.
Are they being controlled
watched
by
Terminator lately?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm fully aware of what AI is.
I think that's what everybody wants. That's my request. Everybody go back to the Arnold Schwarzenegger version of the Terminator and rewatch those.
For sure. We actually just got done with Westworld. I don't know if you watched Westworld.
Yeah.
Okay, so Westworld is it's entirely about data centers. I mean, that's what the whole thing is about.
Yes.
It's like it's one giant data center that's kind of harvesting everybody's data at this park, and taking that and selling that to these companies to make weapons off of it. And that's what they're doing. And like I'm like, wow, you can't make this up. This is literally verbatim what's going on. And in it there is, and this came out in like 2000, maybe 15 or 16, I would say.
Yeah.
And it talks about like the big virus that happens before it happens. It talks about things you can't say, like where everybody starts to become PC'd about things. It talks about
read George Orwell's 1984.
It kills it. It's literally that movie, but I mean, it's that in a movie is what I was going to say. It's crazy.
Space Odyssey 2001 was written in 1968.
Right.
You know, and HAL becomes the sentient computer.
That's literally the name of my computer.
And that's why I say when we hand over our ability to think to a machine, we are in trouble.
Tell him about the what you were telling me in the truck about the putting the civilization into the 4 different.
Oh, there was a study, and I didn't bring it up because I don't have the quote. I can't give you the reference on it. But there was a fairly recent study that involved multiple generative AI programs. So they had ChatGPT, they had Claude, they had Grok, they had I'm trying to think whoever Gemini. Several. There were quite a few of them, and they put them into a simulation. And the simulation was a civilization. And I can look up, I'll find a reference for you. Remind me, I'll find it. But they turned these AI systems loose on a civilization. And they said, okay, your goal is to make this sustainable. Keep it alive, keep it sustainable. The only one that managed to keep it sustainable out of the group that they were studying for about, I want to say maybe for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, was Gemini.
That's wild.
The first one that went down in flames was Grok.
Yeah.
So it took something like on the order of hours for Grok to turn violent. Civilization collapsed in like 24 hours.
I mean, you can kind of see where that's coming from, though. It's coming from X and all.
Yes.
But that's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's who has the influence over the technology and what their personal outlook on the world is.
So I talk to her all the time about this. My big thought is that the next wars are not going to be between countries. It's going to be between AI companies. So that it's going to be, this is just my prediction, that there is going to be a massive war between AI companies that are going to be not just militarily, but infrastructure, everything is going to be split into different territories.
They're already testing it with cyber attacks.
Each territory will have its own major, basically a brain that controls that whole territory, which is going to be an AI. And that AI is going to be at war with all the other different ones, and it's going to be a supremacy of which one will be left standing.
I'm over here cringing, going, "Don't give them any ideas."
It's already there. It's already there. Like it's. I mean, you can't really do anything. You can literally look at how hardcore they're pushing for which one's going to have supremacy over the other one. That's
well, and also look at the concerned citizens saying we don't want this here.
Mm-hmm.
It's being, and I've heard other people say it's a rollout.
Yeah. And there's also AI companies that are even suggesting that they should put a halt on where the growth is now. Like, stop for right now.
Well, I thought the point was very well made, and I'm not sure the young lady who made it at the Boyd County meeting. It was a very well made point about the fact that technology is changing so rapidly that at some point this is all going to become obsolete.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then what are we going to do with all of this infrastructure and the resources that have been invested at the cost that we've been talking about, the great cost to invest all these resources when suddenly it's obsolete?
Well, there's already a quote that says something like that. The next war is going to be fought with nukes, and then the war after that's going to be fought with sticks and stones or back to swords.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's about right, because pretty much we're going to get so far up on it that it's just going to be... Well, we're going to have to just dismantle it because it's so far embedded into everything that they would just have to just
again. Everyone, it's funny. After the meeting the other day, we went outside. There were a couple of young people there. They were really young, and they're like, I said, I think she said it. She said, "Didn't anybody ever watch The Terminal?" We're like, yes, I've been saying that. Like,
100%.
The thing is, when they start taking over, what do?
You fight. Or you let it win. That's the only two choices you got: fight or flight. And it's
Well,
or you launch a bunch of EMPs unless they can figure out how to protect themselves.
They're completely shielded from EMPs. They've been like that tech's been a while back. I tell people, don't go do this out. I'm not promoting violence or anything, but for most smart things, just a can of black paint will work just fine. If it can't see, then it can't do whatever it is that it's trying to do. So, and it's real hard for it to get it off.
That's another question I have as a mom. If I don't fight the good fight, even in getting answers, if I don't step up and say something and try to put a stop to this, these monsters that you're basically sitting there talking about rest on my kids' shoulders.
Well, thankfully, I mean, think about it this way.
People need to step up because
yes, you're right, 100%.
Once it's here, it's even harder to stop.
It is, and you're right, 100%. And thankfully, there has always been and will always be people who are willing to stand up and fight some of this stuff. Just like there will always be a military that's going to try to stand up and fight against some of this stuff if it ever gets out of line. But the problem is that we are losing our ability to fight back over principalities of like certain precautions are being put into the wind where you can't fight back, or there's going to be little things that's like, oh, we have laws that now state that you cannot go up against AI, or you can't. That's coming. It's going to show up.
I've talked to numerous people in the community about this, and what it is, we went back to the town meeting, the fear. You corner an animal, and eventually that animal is going to lash out.
Well,
People are afraid, and they don't understand, and they don't understand the ramifications, and they want people to slow down and say, let's take a look at the health. Let's take a look at what we can do better.
So I'm only saying this as, like I said, I'm always playing devil's advocate on these things. We have a gun problem in America, I guess, is what people say. But the problem isn't the guns, it's the people, right?
Absolutely.
So if we keep putting laws out there about gun laws that the people who are actually using these guns to commit crimes don't care about.
Don't care about that.
The only person you're hurting with these gun laws is the people who are actually going to use these guns to defend themselves and other people.
The law-abiding citizen is who it hurts.
So that's what we need to look at for these AI laws, is what's going to happen with that is going to be the people who are actually going to try to help people are only going to be the people that are getting nailed in the face by these laws that they're going to implement on.
They're pushing people with what you're talking about, with everything we've talked about. They're pushing people to a state of helplessness and hopelessness.
Right.
And if you keep staring at us and saying you have no choice, and all your choices keep being taken away, and you're not a person of means, or maybe you don't have an education, or you don't have an education or a skill set in certain areas. The hopelessness and the helplessness are going to drive normal, God-fearing, law-abiding people into a hole. That's just like, Clayton Morris of Fox and Friends News has his own podcast now. And he said, if you speak out against the data centers, you will be on an FBI watch list as a domestic terrorist.
100%.
For crying out loud. I'm sitting here asking questions.
We're probably on 5 or 6 of those just by just asking a simple question.
Exactly. So you've taken away our First Amendment right. Right now, Rand Paul and a bunch of them are trying to put some kind of legislation on the books that protects our Fourth Amendment. Is the Constitution no longer worth the paper it's written on?
I mean,
somebody help a sister out here.
When you have all of these things based off of power, all of those constitutional, everything that's in the Constitution is based off of power. If you don't have the power to be able to uphold those, then it doesn't matter. Like, your rights won't matter if you don't have the ability to fight for your rights. So that's what I mean by that.
One of the things that I think is important
that we get out there while we have an opportunity is that this is not the time for apathy. This is not the time to feel hopeless. This is not the time to crawl back in your shell. This is not the time to run away from this. This is the time to get active. Come to the meetings. Ask the questions. Be on social media. Do your research. Be sure you fact check what you see on social media, but do your research and become an active voice. If you are concerned about this, become an active voice, because I don't want people to think coming away from this that there are not other options. There are other options for jobs. We just have to think a little more out of the box. All of the things that could potentially be done up there in that industrial park. It does not have to be huge. It does not have to employ 2,000 or 3,000 people. What if we had entire strings of small businesses
and could get support
to get small businesses in place up there that might benefit the community and might put small amounts of people to work? Or, I mean, if there is a larger business company, whatever, great, wonderful. But we don't need to jump at the first shiny thing because it pulls out its wallet. This is not the only option.
And that's another really, like, I watch it happening right here. When you bring together people that are concerned about an issue, researching an issue, want answers, want a discussion, and you have people from all walks of life. You have young people, old people. You have people that have just moved here. You have lifelong residents. You have people from all walks of industry and education and everything else. When you fill a high school auditorium with that kind of human energy and connection, you may be the one that has an answer for one aspect of this. She might go, hey, well, what about this? Or somebody else go, well, hey, I know this business wanted to move into the area. What about this? Now, the land's already been sold, so that's another option, another argument altogether. But when we come together as a community and we start supporting each other and we start asking the questions, or we volunteer to research a subject matter, or we volunteer to make a phone call or check up somebody's voting record, or, you know, follow the money. Follow the money. That's like a lifelong rule. It's amazing what we can accomplish as a community. So I want
100%.
people to stop feeling hopeless and helpless and say, I can have a say. I might not get my way, but I can have a say. And there is dignity in fighting the good fight.
Yes, there is.
I agree.
How many times
100%.
in Appalachia have we heard, oh, we're going to improve your life. We're going to make your communities better. We're going to help your schools. We're going to lift up Appalachians. How many times for 200 years, over and over and over again? It's time for it to stop. If you're going to improve the community, show us the plan. Where is it?
And show us the money.
What are you going to do to make it better?
Because
Be a part of our community. Be a partner to us. You know, Appalachian people are some of the most loyal people in the world. You
And
put forth that
hardworking.
good faith effort and hardworking, and they will show up every time.
Yeah. If you got a plan, they'll do it.
We've
That's-
had to. We've never been given a choice.
No.
I think one of two things is going to end up having to happen for Appalachia. It's going to have to either be that the churches take over to where they set the precedent, or the hospitals take over and they set the precedent. Because right now, all industries are basically kind of below those two. Like, you know, churches and hospitals. Like, that's literally where we're at right now. So one of those two people are going to have to stand up and be the leader on what happens for what's going on. And that's kind of sad.
Well, I think that's an important thing that you've touched on, because I think a lot of Christians are, you know, scared to get in trouble. They want to abide by the law. There's times you got to stand up and be heard. And there's times you got to lead the way.
Yeah.
So I think that you saying the churches need to get involved, absolutely.
I absolutely think they do.
I think that as this project continues, if it continues and if it is in place, I think the healthcare workers are going to have to start raising the alarm bell for illnesses they see, or conditions they see, or concerns they have. That's when we're going to need their voice. That's going to stand for the community and say, we demand a study. We demand somebody look into this, because this is happening here. We're not crazy.
I agree. I think that's how it's going to end up having to be. It's going to have to be that the hospitals are going to be the ones that kind of makes the alarm go off for everybody to get together and organize, and then the churches will end up being the umbrella that kind of puts everybody together and gives them a purpose to go towards whatever it is that they're going to do.
Well, I have a challenge to the healthcare workers right now. So, you know, Aggie has certain education and training, and so she's advocating for certain things. You're a healthcare worker or you're a doctor. Ask your counterparts in these data center communities, what are you seeing? What are the concerns that I need to take back to my community and say to TerraWolf, to the legislators or whoever, this is what these other communities are saying in the sickness. I cannot speak to medical conditions because I'm not a doctor or a nurse. But they can go to their counterparts in other communities. Like our PVA person is going to go talk to PVA people in other jurisdictions. Be proactive in helping this community fend off what's coming.
The whistleblower on Flint, Michigan was a doctor. She was a pediatrician.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's how it's going to end up having to be. I've got my comment for everybody is share this post, like share this video. This is going to be what, a 2.5 hour, almost 3 hour video. Like, people are going to have to watch this in order for them to get this information, because nobody else is going to let that out.
A lot of information, a lot of questions. And it might be that you spend and you give the 3 hours to watch all this, but you may be the one person that he's in on something important that someone else didn't recognize.
That's right.
That we miss.
Or
Yeah,
didn't
right.
understand.
exactly right. And the comments typically are flooded with negative stuff. I would like to ask that if you're going to comment a solution or an idea of how we fix it, not just, oh, it's hopeless, woe is me. Like, that's
Or
not going to
volunteer
help.
your time.
Yeah,
There's several people that are
100%.
giving up hours and hours and hours and hours of their time. They might need somebody to type for them. They might need somebody to print for them. They might need somebody to run down additional articles or drill down through resources. Volunteer your time to be
Or
part
reach
of it.
out and
literally-
talk to.
Yes.
I literally told Mr. Cheney that I would go, I would volunteer to go tour these facilities and do video inside and to see them and to talk with all these people. Like, I'm literally volunteering my time to do this. There's no
Well, she just
pay
made
or
an
nothing.
important point too. You may hear something that someone says and say, "Oh, I know a guy that used to do this for
or
a
work
living."
at one of those places,
Yeah.
right?
Let's talk. Hey, this
That's
is
a
a
big one.
person you should talk to. This is a
Right,
person
right.
Michael should interview.
Right.
Help us help everybody one way or the other.
During the AEP moments we had this last one, we had a few, like, I guess you could call them whistleblower AEP people that showed up there, and I don't know that it helped. I honestly don't, because I think it almost hurt their cause more than anything, because it almost made it look like they were just disgruntled employees or something. So people didn't really take them very serious from what I saw.
Well,
Right.
and
That's too
that's
bad.
another thing too. Everybody's emotions are running high. So a person may not speak as eloquently, may misspeak, might get upset. I watched a little lady in the fiscal court meeting that you videoed. She had very valid points. She was a
Amazing
nervous wreck, almost broke down in tears, much like the other young lady at the town hall.
She was amazing too.
But I have watched adult after adult after adult walk up to that young person, including Eric Cheney, and say, I appreciate you coming because what you said is important.
It is. It is
You
very.
may not be able to articulate it. You know, I feel like I did a really poor job of trying to get people to start asking questions about these, because
did
I'm
a
not a
great
doctor,
job.
I'm not a nurse. But somebody needs to be saying, this is bigger than what we think.
Like I said, you were the only one that I saw up there that was willing to see both sides of the story. And that was important. And that's why I try to stress the fact that, like, looking at something one-sided is the problem. Because that's what a lot of these people have done. They're seeing a particular problem. They're only seeing the negative sides of this. I'm looking at this problem from every side that's possible, because the more information that I have, the more I can do something about this. If I don't have this side of the information, I won't know that that's even a possibility. You know what I
But
mean?
that's the major part of
So-
what we're facing. We have no answers. We don't have them from our local elected officials. We don't have them from TerraWolf. We don't have them from the power company.
Right.
We don't have any answers from anybody.
So that's where we got to take these steps. That's it. For
So, yeah,
next
we
4
can't
steps.
make
Time.
Yep.
opinions in a void, but
Yeah.
Appalachia's been bit in the butt before, so now we're all kind of like
Yeah.
looking under the
Little-
carpet.
little gun shy on things.
Just
yeah,
a
that's
little.
for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I think next steps, next 4 steps, speak with somebody from AAP, speak with somebody from TerraWolf, speak with somebody from I would like to say the is it EPA? Isn't that the one we was talking about? The
Yeah, that's-
Environmental
yeah.
Protection Agency. I keep
Yeah, you could.
it's like a weird one. Or one of maybe the water facility.
Right.
I think those are really 4 big ones. But then we have, you can speak with anybody that's from your local government. That would be a good one, because they will give you some kind of information on who you could at least talk to on that. You could reach out and talk to any local news, anybody from any of those. You could. I'm just giving suggestions out. I mean, you could literally talk to any of these people and find some kind of little clues on what we should do or what we can do.
Right.
And yeah.
And if anybody, by any chance, from another community has information that we need to be looking at, please get to somebody
Yes,
and say,
please.
hey,
Yeah.
you guys should be looking into this.
And make sure on the 17th you guys are down there, Boyd
Right.
County. We're going to be there. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Try.
Other than that,
Well, one other thing is I would caution Tara Wolf and I would caution our elected officials, because all of these meetings and things are being broadcast and live streamed. Do not take overflowing parking lots as a sign no one cares. People are watching. And people are seeing these snippets out on Facebook media and social media. Don't think just because a physical body isn't there that people aren't paying attention, asking questions, and care.
which is our main reason why we do this every day, because
So-
it's for the people that can't make it to these
Right.
meetings, or the
Right.
people that can't get out there and get their voice, and
Yeah.
their opinions matter. Their their
Absolutely.
perspectives
They
matter.
do.
So, yep. So with that, we're gonna call this one over. And thank you, ladies, for coming on to the show. We appreciate you. Love the passion. Keep it going, and hopefully we'll do this again after
Thank you.
we do this meeting.
Yeah. Thank
As
you
soon
for
as you
having us.
get us some answers,
As
Michael.
soon as I get everyone some answers, that's it. All on these shoulders. No, I'm
just
just
throw
joking.
you under the
Just
bus.
totally
Just
under the
a
bus.
little.
It's fine.
Just a
It's
little.
fine.
No, I thought that was a
I got
lot.
strong shoulders, so it's
Man,
okay.
I was
It's
way
okay.
too subtle.
That's
Shucks.
It's fair. Did a good job. So other than that, thanks for watching. Bye, guys.